Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Music Scene Investigation. Glad you're with us. Rich Wildman here. I'll be your host today. On today's show, we got a lot of great music for you to hear or not. We don't know yet. We'll find out in a little bit when our panelists let you know what they think of everything. What we do here on Music Scene Investigation is pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. Every week, we select 3 songs, and I know I held up 2 fingers. I just wanted to make sure you're watching. We select 3 songs randomly from all of those that have been submitted to the broadcast from indie artists around the world. We'll then take and put them in front of our panelists, let them review the songs. Generally, what we find out is, what we hear is a technical review from our panelists. As has been described in the chat room today, it's a master class. I don't know. You be the judge of that. We'll figure it out. But right now, we want to take and meet our panelists. I want to start in New York City. Mr. Tom Chianti, recording engineer, over 30 years of experience. Tom, how are you today, sir? Welcome back.
Welcome. Where did I go?
You said you made something this morning. I assumed you were gone for a while.
Oh, I was. Yeah, I stepped out for a little bit and made a little pudding and came back and
chocolate pudding.
Chocolate pudding, as a matter of fact, and it was a wonderful little mess. And I'm here today ready to learn from the master, Ian. From what the chat says, I'm going to have to do a lot of deferring, and defer to his great knowledge of his bus.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's bring him in and find out exactly what he knows, when he knew it, and how he knew it. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ian Husbands. Hi, Ian.
Look, contain your jealousy, boys. All right.
So
it's me that's green with envy.
Yeah, apparently. And I see you're wearing a shirt in tribute to the sleepless knight himself, Mr. Chianti, right?
Yeah, this is just for Tom. He is Batman. Damn it.
I'm Batman. Damn it. What are you wearing the shirt for?
Well, it's in honor of you, Tom.
Okay.
All right.
Well, thank you. I feel honored.
So, first things first, Ian. Master class. What can you tell us?
Just listen and learn, people, and that's all I can say.
Okay. Well, we'll do that.
And that's to the panelists, not to the people in the chat.
Oh, all right. Well, they already know. They already know. Now, I understand you have some statistics for us from last week's broadcast.
I do. I've got the witness statement results for us, and everyone agrees that Song 2 should have been the Song of the Week, and that's what we voted for as well. But there was slight differences. It got an 80% vote in songwriting, but if I can speak, for best performance and best mix and production, it only received 60% of the votes. So there was a bit of mixed feelings down there somewhere.
Well, that's interesting, but overall what you're saying is that everybody agreed with the panelist.
Overall, they agreed with us, yes.
All right, good to hear. Glad to have you back. We're going to start calling you Professor Husbands, I think.
That's fine. Maybe MSI could offer me an honorary professorship.
We'll look into that.
I used to call him Mrs. Husbands.
Okay.
Do you know what, Tom? I've been hearing that since I was at primary school at about 5 years old. You would have thought you could have come up with something new by now.
No, I'm bringing back the old stuff. I'm going retro.
All right, gentlemen, back to your corners, and we'll ring the bell here shortly. Now, I want to introduce our guest panelist today. He's been on the show before. He has been in the studio most of the time. It's Mr. Paul Miro. Thank you, Paul, for being here. Appreciate it, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing real well. Now, a couple of things that are hot on the list today. We've got the new album in the works. You're going about this a little differently than what happens when a band puts out an album. You're actually crowdsourcing or crowdfunding this album.
Yeah, I'm doing what's kind of becoming collectively known as pledging. So people pay in advance for a range of exclusive content or for the CD up front to fund it in advance. One of the things, being an indie artist, is getting to a situation where you're not chasing your tail consistently. And what I've done with my last 2 albums is borrow heavily, make the album, and then you find that for the next year or 18 months, you're playing catch up. And over that period, I've established a reasonably a very loyal fan base, but also a reasonably large fan base that I know with, some degree of confidence are going to be happy to fork out for the album up front. And I think artists like Ginger and Jackdaw 4 over here, it's worked really well where you're bypassing the need for a record label who are going to be taking a huge cut at the tail end out of anything that does come out. Also, you're totally in control, really. You've got a situation where your priority is to get the album out, so you set a target for that. But anything that comes in addition to that, which you wouldn't get, things like, for example, I've done stuff like allowing people to get their name on the album, so they pay a little bit extra for that. They can pledge for personalized handwritten lyrics. They can become anything right up to an executive producer. If you look at them in real terms, that's going to generate more money up front than simply selling a CD. So it kind of means you're at a break-even point possibly before you release, and also means you perhaps got a bit of money to market the thing as well, putting things out in magazines and making sure that you're appealing to a wider audience still. So, yeah, it's going very well so far as well.
Ian and I had a conversation about your album and crowdfunding last week, and one of the things I was wondering is if people could request, a new reward perk or whatever you want to call it from you. For example, if someone said, I'll pledge $60 for the shirt you happen to be wearing on today's show, something like that, perhaps.
Absolutely, yeah. Because I'm not going through a pledge site as such, there are quite a few Kickstart, what I'm now calling mainstream sites, which is weird, but there are a few big ones out there. I've elected to launch my own site, and I want to keep it as personal as possible. And one of the things that's transpired through this is that, like, one of the options is the handwritten lyric. And I mean, I've been making albums for a fair while, both with my band and as a solo artist. And there are a lot of people who like a lot of songs that I've written over a number of years, and they can't decide which song they want a lyric for. So what I'm doing is there's separate email address. If they click that option, and they can then directly email me. Those things are going to be, there's only 20 of those available, and I'll get a direct email. So it's not like it's going to be amongst the hundreds of others of emails. And I've put blogs on my site, things on Facebook and on Twitter saying, if there's anything that you want specifically, then drop me a line via my website. There's a contact thing, paulmiro.com, contact at the top. Email me directly if there's something specific that you want. If you want to pledge for something that I can make possible, then I'm more than happy to try and accommodate.
Like the door to your studio?
Maybe not the door to my studio, no. That's
Now, one of the things I know that has taken place, you keep a blog, a running blog of things that come to mind, things that are important to you that you want to write about. And I know that last week, a brilliant blog post you put out that had to do with crowdsourcing or crowdfunding, as I like to call it, the album. And it seems like you're getting a lot of feedback from fans, from people who come across the site and have some oftentimes supportive and sometimes not quite so supportive comments about the whole task. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, vast majority really supportive, and also, again, because I'm consistently blogging on most of the social networks asking people to pledge, I'm starting to feel a bit like, oh wow, I keep doing this, but I that's what we do as artists. And I'm getting quite a few super supportive things from people saying, oh man, I'm sorry I've not pledged yet, and all this kind of thing. That's really nice. And there's people being unbelievably generous, not even asking for credits or even for an album, just throw money in the donate pot, which is absolutely phenomenal. But yeah, on the counter side, I think I was totally unaware of how divisive this thing was. I think we're all guilty of, once you have knowledge, you presume that everyone has that knowledge. But pledging's, although it's not a brand new concept, it's something that a lot of the public haven't really come to terms with whatsoever. And they kind of assume that music is something that is there and you pay for it once it's available if you like it, kind of thing. Sure, okay. In my concept of pledging is, if you're appealing to an existing audience, then they're kind of going to expect a certain type of material for which they, it's an artist you're familiar with, so you're going to be quite happy to fork out a few dollars or a few pounds for the album before you get it, like ordering in advance a bottle of wine that's got to be imported or something like that. You're not going to see it if you. But on the other hand, you've got the people who really take umbrage at the idea of paying up front. I think in the blog it was something along the lines of, why should I pay up front for you to make your album? I don't get paid to go to work.
Right. Ian and I, when we talked about this, I kind of took a look, took it from the angle of, going to an auto parts store and they have to order the part. But you have, it's the same idea, right?
Exactly. That's exactly it. And what you're trying to do, it's kind of, it's almost like no one seems to understand that the music industry is collapsing. It's the whole idea of the industry as it's been over the last 30 years is changed beyond recognition. And the whole idea of hard formats, things like CDs, etc., it's becoming increasingly an element of the past. But also within that, people haven't got an understanding of, should an artist go the route of a record label, they aren't actually ever going to see any money themselves. It's no longer a profitable or viable option for an independent artist to sell across your rights for your product to come into existence. You're just not going to be able to keep doing it. And this whole idea of independent stuff, to me, it's kind of like it's a rebirth of the punk ethic, whereby the artist it's total control of the production values and trying to be in a position where they're providing the product. So it's not like you're taking money. What you're trying to do is, if you like, manufacture the car. Like you're saying, going to the motor dealership and ordering a part. That's what each individual is doing. Completely good analogy there. But what each of those individuals is doing for my benefit and anyone else who's in this kind of pledge situation, they're enabling me to manufacture the car in the first place. They know it's going to be a good car, and they know it's going to be a car that they can drive repeatedly, and it's going to get them where they're going. But I don't want to be in a position where I have to borrow really heavily to build this thing and then not be in a position where I can promote it and get more people to hear about it. And I want to be able to make another one,
Right.
And it's just a different way of doing your job. And again, it's increasingly difficult to generate income from music via sales. Because again, another thing that I think I'm probably up to about 100 emails now where people have said, and this level of ignorance now, and I don't know if the word's ignorance, but just a kind of accepting that music is theirs to be free by right. I have had countless emails saying, I have, like most of your other albums, and I've got them from torrents, and I downloaded them for free. Could you tell me when there'll be a torrent available of your new album? And
that's a pretty ballsy attitude and thing to say to you,
I don't think it's ballsy. I think it's just damn stupid. It's just kind of, there's no malice there. They just don't realize because music's so easy to access. It's a downloadable little file. It takes no effort, blah, 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 blah. And I just think there's such a level of ignorance. I've had it at shows where there's people with their iPhone and there's a point in the show, like when you take a break, and what you do from the point of you've got your merch stand there, and when you take your break, you'll play a couple of tracks from your album to seed it into people's minds that this is the guy you're listening to and this is his latest album. And people will come up and hopefully buy a few CDs in that interval, and I'll stand at that merch thing and sign stuff for people, and marvelous. But you'll have people with their iPhones standing next to the PA recording the tracks.
Yeah.
And excuse me. Oh yeah, I really like this one. Yeah.
It takes all kinds, I guess, and unfortunately that does happen, but won't happen today with any luck. I tell you, I want to talk more about this, but we also got some music that we have to get to as well. So I hope you don't mind if we get to the music, and we'll, of course, have you back on again, and we can discuss more in detail some of these items as well. So, but right now, I want to move forward. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Quick comment about Ian's shirt. I read a thing about a guy who he's taken his girlfriend out for 8 dates, and on the 9th date he goes to see Batman. So he actually lists the dates, and it goes dinner, 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 Batman.
I heard that the other day. That is brilliant, that joke.
I don't know that I get it, though.
Dinner, Batman.
Okay, it was in the delivery then, I guess. Okay. All right. Well, all Batman tunes aside, let's go ahead and listen to some music from artists who've sent their stuff in to us today. I want to start out, of course, with track number 1 on today's MSI. So, guys, here we go with track number 1 today.
I wish it was different, but it be what it be. She's so good looking, but you ain't no good for me. Just as Samson, that honey was loaded. Kissed Delilah and his head exploded. I wish it was different, I'd have her sitting on my knee. She's so good looking, but you ain't no good for me. They seem to say, man, your bucket's just a kick away. Don't take my word, go say hello. Maybe you know something I don't know.
that's song number 1 on today's MSI. I'm going to hot down the little outro, which has to do with it's the same thing as the intro, so you're not missing anything. Now I want to go over to Mr. Ian Husbands, find out his thoughts. The master class begins now. Ding! Round 1.
Beep. The intro and the outro are really my biggest issues with this. I mean, I know they're going for that 60s cafe sort of effect with the chinking glasses, but surely a bit of applause at the end would have been a bit better than just a bunch of people chatting and almost ignoring the song. I mean, otherwise, this is what it is. It's good old-fashioned rock and roll at its best. It's done really, really well. That bluesy honky-tonk piano in there is really well played. Really did like that. I did find, usual problem in MSI, vocals were set back in the mix, as were the drums in places as well. They did get buried. I liked the addition of the horns, but I did find they were a very flat sound. They could do with some EQing, and they occasionally were hitting in the same sort of tonal range as the piano, and the piano and the trumpet were just cancelling out each other in certain areas. Otherwise, yeah, I mean, what can I say? How relevant is it to today's music scene? Probably not really. Might get in a film or something like that. But it is what it is. It's a good track. I enjoyed the listen. Lyrics are typical for what it is. It's got a hook. It's got a melody. But it's nothing you haven't heard before. All around, well done. Take a look at that mix. Sort the piano and the trumpet out, and the vocals and the drums especially.
All right, Ian, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Now to Mr. Tom Chianti. Tom, what do you think?
Well, I like the concept. I mean, goodness gracious, great balls of fire. You know, Jerry Lee Lewis, straight down the road. I thought the mix was a little bottom heavy. I had issues with the vocal, as Ian did, and the drums. The thing that bothered me about the mix was everything had its place, but it was too specialized. Those horns should have been spread out more. And the mix sounded a little too monaural for my taste. They had a lot more interesting stuff and unused space that would have made it bigger, clearer, and made it sound more modern. Right now, it sounds like a period piece, which may be what they were going for. But it's fun. You know, it's done well, and it's a traditional rock and roll straight from the 1950s, you know, and how can you not like it? But I think they need to go back in and really try to make it more unique, more up-to-date mix-wise, and work on the vocal and the background balancing and even out the bottom end. And spatialize things. I mean, back in the 50s, they had no choice. They had one mic and, you know, one knob. Now we've got many mics and many knobs. Let's use them, you know. I mean, there's a time to be subtle and a time to explore the possibilities of space. And that, I think, would have made this more palatable, more modern sounding, and give it a better marketability. Right now, like Ian said, a movie, a period movie or something like that, or a commercial for, you know, Gumby or something, you know, but it's a fun listen and done well.
All right. I appreciate it, Tom. Thank you very much. Now over to Mr. Paul Miro. Paul, your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, all points Tom and Ian make production-wise, yeah, obvious, blatantly clear. To be honest, I don't think he's relevant. Chop the crap off the front and the end, because they're just trying to depict that they're in a bar, which is obviously where they play lots. And it sounds to me like some great players who do that bar circuit really, really well. Love the stride piano, that boogie stuff. It's kind of like, I don't know, guys like Albert Hammond, Peter Johnson. I loved the band vibe. but they sound like a bunch of old musos who are gonna, you'd go to somewhere like New Orleans, see them playing in a bar, the whole place would be stomping and everyone would have a great time. And that CD would get them more work. They probably have 10 tracks like that they take around to other venues and go, yeah, this is what we do, Bubba. Okay, fine. Yep, we'll give it a listen and we'll call you back. Or they give it to their agent to do that with, and they get plenty of work. And they go out and they play quality gigs that will sound just like that. Never mind it being modern, never mind about looking at what production does, because those guys don't give a crap about that. Their thing is they're playing good music, having a good time, and at some point maybe there'll be some stroke of fortune where someone will say, rather than that sounds like they've had a day off from doing a 4-night Boston every week, and they've got, guys, we got 2 days in the studio, let's go and rock out our set, it's going to be awesome. That's just what it sounds like. They're having a good time. I don't want to comment on the production. They're not bothered about production. Someone else might be at some point that they'll see them playing in one of those bars and say, do you guys fancy recording this properly? And then maybe they'll do that. But other than that, it's just what to me I'd imagine would be a great live band doing that bar scene forever, and I'd really like to see them,
That makes sense. All right, Paul, thank you very much, and I want to take and introduce that track to everybody. The track is called So Good Looking by Russ Seeger, who was actually sent in by Paradiddle Records. So we appreciate them sending that track in. And now I want to go into our next track, gentlemen. So if you're ready, I know you are, and everybody out there in the audience is ready, we'll go ahead and listen to track number 2 on today's Music Scene Investigation.
About how it did good to be rid of this. At least that's what I say. The problem with lessons, they never give the one a fix that you wish. I hope they did. That's why it's the easy way. When in doubt, make a time about. You can say life about a million ways. But when you're done and the race is run, did you have someone else, or did you just walk away? Did you just walk away? Sitting here loud about talking loud when I found what I need and came around. Not bad for a hot day. When in doubt, make a turnabout. You can say loud about a million ways. Hey, hey, hey. But when you're done and the race is run, did you have someone else? Did you just walk away? Did you walk away?
track number 2 on today's Music Scene Investigation. Before we go to the guys, I want to remind everybody about our partners here at Music Scene Investigation. The Indie Music Bus, greatest guys out on any social network you'll ever hope to meet. Walter and the gang does some great work, and we appreciate their support, along with Carol and Mark over at Butterflies Radio. All indie all the time. That's all I need to say about that. Do want to let you know, though, next week, Carol going to be on the panel. So give her a lot of support and kudos for that. She's stepping up to the big boy chair. Carol, going to be great to have you on the program. Now let's go over to Mr. Tom Chianti to find out what he thought of track number 2. Tom, what do you think?
I like it. I like the mixture of genres. My main problem is the lack of dynamics. I mean, the singer is singing and the players are playing, the Spanish guitar, the electric guitar. You know, they're all well played, well placed and everything, but the mix and the song itself doesn't really build to where the chorus comes in, and it's missing, you know, sustain, suspense, release, build. The mix has to be produced and played as well as the instruments. You can't just make everything heard and walk away. A little automation, because when the Spanish guitar and the electric guitar came in and did their solos, they're at the same level throughout the entire song. So, you know, a little motion on the fader action would have really helped this and cleared it up. You know, I've got several other mix issues, but overall, I think it's, you know, very interesting arrangement. Some of the out-of-the-box sounds, you know, kind of got me, but for the most part, you know, the singer sang very well, a little low in the mix. Could have used more background vocals and just play with the faders to really bring out the fullness of the song so that people feel the build where you back, you know, this is a type of song where mixed right and the dynamics are correctly. You know, when that build comes in and that lead vocal is wailing with the guitars, you know, you feel the hairs on your arms go up a little bit, get a little excitement. Right now, it just gets to one level and just levels out, and you can hear everything. But it's, you know, like I said, a mix is as much an instrument as a guitar. You play it. You don't just get the sounds up and walk away.
All right, Tom, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Now let's go to Mr. Paul Miro. Paul, what do you think about track number 2 here?
Interesting elements. Guy's voice could really be worked on. He's got a nice voice, really good radio-friendly kind of voice. I agree with Tommy totally on lack of dynamics. It's kind of one level all throughout. Like the interplay with guitars. And again, as Tommy said, there's just no automation and no riding, no layering. It's all kind of... It's just on one level throughout, with not a lot of texture going on. The one thing that I really did not like about the track is all of the attempts to make it sound modern. Kind of, to me, again, I've said this a couple of times on the show before. If you're in a position where you're making a demo, then leave things out rather than trying to imply what you're going to do, because it cheapens the overall effect. And that scratching is just really not cool scratching on there. It really sounds so unbelievably dated that to me it puts it in what I call rock dad territory. You've got a song that's really kind of moves, and you got a really good vocal with, if thinking about it, not overdoing the emotion in places and holding it back for the choruses rather than putting it through all the song, thinking about that more carefully, that'd be really good. But I kept getting thrown by these really bad kind of sampled things thrown in that, MIDI drum loops with a flanger on. It's like, what are you playing at? No, don't do that, because I want to listen to your song, dude. And there was no need for a lot of those little things to be in there, because they acted contrary to what he was trying to do. And I think it for me left me with a bad taste rather than a good taste about the song. I think the song's good. I think if it was mixed right, it'd be a lot better. Think more about making the song work rather than trying to make it cool, if that makes any sense, because you either are cool or you aren't, and making an extra effort of throwing things in because you think that's what the kids want, it just detracts from it. And I think it's a shame, because I quite like the song and I really like the guy's voice.
All right, I appreciate it, Paul. Thank you very much. Now over to Mr. Ian Husbands. Ian, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to echo a lot of what Tom and Paul have been saying. I found the outro and the intro very unnecessary, to be honest. There is a really cool track here in a really retro, but modern retro kind of way. And I'm thinking the way sort of bands like Bosco and Peck, who have been on the show, achieve that sort of real soulful sound. And throwing in the scratching and the other sort of sample bits and pieces, I just found very unnecessary. It done nothing for me. It detracted from a very good song. I mean, the bass sound was brilliant. I loved the bass sound on this. The guitar sounds were excellent. The guy's voice was there. And then it was just all stripped down with all these electronic bits and pieces which were overused and just didn't work. And where were the BVs? You know, the guy's obviously got a voice, and this needed some girly vocals, some oohs, some ahs, and that chorus needs to build. The whole song needs to build. That the guy's voice, he's very emotive and he puts a lot into it, and as he builds, the music should be building with the vocal, and it's not. It's just staying on a level, as Paul was saying. And yeah, it's got a real sort of Commitments-esque crossed with Hootie and the Blowfish feel to it, which is cool. Just remove the electronic bits and pieces. They don't work.
All right.
Those were the out-of-the-box sounds I was talking about. You know, but I liked them. I thought it added. I think they were too prominent and dominant in the mix and too repetitive and redundant. But a little bit here and there wouldn't have hurt. But
no, I agree. A little bit here and there would have been good.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate
you.
I'm sorry, Tom. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Paul's right, too. You know, there's a good song here, and, you know, the extra scratches and stuff, you know, that's icing on the cake. Let's do that for the final when we got somebody who knows how to mix. It detracts from the song a little bit, but like I said, if it wasn't overdone and out of the box, it's still a good song.
All right, gentlemen, I appreciate it, and I want to take the opportunity to introduce that track to everyone. The name of that track is called Walk Away by Jazz Patrick. We appreciate Jazz sending that in to us. And if you want to send your tracks in to us, head over to MusicSceneInvestigation.com. At the top of the page, you'll find a link that states very simply, submit a song. You can do that right there, and we look forward to receiving your tracks for review on a future show. All right, gentlemen, we have another track to listen to today. So as long as you have your headphones on, why don't we give it a try and listen to track number 3 on today's Music Scene Investigation.
If I were a ghost of all the things I'd tell you, would you run, try to seek the higher ground? And if I were lost, more lost than when I found you, should I go, try and find the path again? Fly around inside, windows look like sky. No, it's alright, know it's okay. Live like you'll die someday. If I made time the way I make my music, would you smile more often than you do? And if I smiled for once without reservation, I doubt there'd be a thing we could do. I curse the dashboard light, home late another night. You know it's alright, you know it's okay. Live like you'll die someday. But never wonder, and they never question. They march crying past the grave. And I wanna feel love without feeling old. I wanna feel the wind blow through my soul. I wanna love you for the rest of my life, and I wish that life were dying. Dying, dying on the vine. You say it's alright, you don't get a life without pain. I can't deny that. All I wonder, when it's poison picking time, which one is mine? Mine. Well, you know it's alright, and you know it's okay. Live like you'll die someday. And maybe one day, yeah, maybe sometime soon, we can be happy again. Oh, we can be happy again. Oh.
That is track number 3 on today's MSI. We're going to turn it over to Mr. Paul Miro to find out what he thought on this. Paul, your thoughts?
Weird on that. Definitely the best song of the day, I would say, ironically. At first, there was that, I don't know, Johnny Cash and Glenn Campbell thing, it seemed at first, and then Good Old Country Boy, and then sort of Bruce Springsteen. And then the more you sort of listen, it's like, hang on, there's a good song in here. And I couldn't work out, because it's a blatant demo sounding thing. It's so safe. It's unbelievable. And I'm there thinking, well, okay, there's something in here that I do get. There's something, the guy's doing something here that I like. And what it is the lyrics are very safe, but they're talking about life that guy hasn't lived. It's kind of like a Bruce Springsteen sort of Woody Guthrie sort of story. Pain, suffering, yeah, brilliant, and maybe it can all be better. But that guy sounds like he's just come out of church and never had any bourbon or cigarettes or hard times. It's kind of no conviction. It's bland and there. But the song itself is, you know, that in that country rock kind of way that Bruce Springsteen is the master of. I think it's a kind of song that an artist of that caliber could rip to shreds and have people going, you know what, man, I feel what you're doing. But that guy sounds like he's just left church to go and sort of sing about the life he'd like to have if he dared to sin.
If he dared to sin. That's a good one. All right, Paul, thank you very much. Now let's go over to Ian, find out what he thought. Ian, what do you think?
Do you know what? My biggest issue with all of this was the level of the vocal. I mean, it sounds to me like this is possibly a internet collaboration or something like that, where someone's gone, I've done this great backing track, will you sing the vocals on it? And they've sent him a mix down, and the guy's put the vocal on, and then he's decided he's going to mix it himself. And the vocal is just so dominant across the track. There's a lot of good stuff going on in there. The acoustic guitar I found was very thin, needs attention on the EQ. I thought the vocal was very well EQ'd. I agree with Paul. It lacks a little bit of conviction in places. He's got a nice voice. I like his voice. I like the tone and his deliverance, but it just needs a bit more passion in there. Again, the drums were distant and they were boxy, maybe a bit more bottom end and high end EQ on those to sort of just bring some of the more detail out in them. The distorted guitars were where in the mix exactly? I think there was some in there, but they were so low I couldn't really hear what they were doing. And the bass lacked a lot of clarity. It was there, but it was all bottom end, and you need to sort of bring it up sort of a bit more in the low mids to sort of give it some poke through in the mix. The chorus was catchy, it was strong. There is something good in there. I mean, I like the Bruce Springsteen reference, actually, Paul. I hadn't thought of that. That really does work. Very Bruce Springsteen. But, yeah, the vocalist was just overpowering on everything on here. It is a good story. It is a good song, but it's certainly not a good mix.
All right, Ian, I appreciate that. Thank you. Tom, what do you think of track 3?
Well, as a man who has sinned before, I think in general I agree with a lot of what Ian said and what Paul said. The drum sound, that snare sound, sounds like he was playing a box, really boxy. The electric guitar is lost in the mix. I like the dominance of the vocal. I wish it was a better emotive performance. And still, the tail end of some words got lost. The background vocals were good. The production on this is there. I think they just need to retake the vocals and rethink the mix. You know, it's a good song, and the guy's got a good voice. I like the tone and timbre of his voice, but he's too laid back in his delivery. You know, I think he was trying to be that laid back kind of Johnny Cash, devilish type of thing, if you will. But he just doesn't pull it off. He's and the EQ on the vocal, there were a little too much puffs and pops in there for me. Cut some of the upper lows out and really, you know, EQ it a little bit better. I agree, like I said, with basically everybody. It's a good song. It's a bad mix and a poor delivery, but there's definitely something there.
All right, Tom, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Now, we're going to throw it over to our panelist here in just a second after I introduce this track to you. Want to let you know that the name of this track is called Poison Pickin' Time by The Matthew Show. The Matthew Show with Poison Pickin' Time. Thanks for sending that track into Music Scene Investigation. Now, we want you to join us. Be a witness. So head over to that Be a Witness page. The button's off to the right-hand side of the video. Hopefully you'll be able to find it there. Unless you're watching on Justin TV, then you need to follow the link that's in the chat room to be a witness and let us know what you think of the tracks you just heard today. And you'll be the fourth panelist. How about that? All right, gentlemen. Now I'm going to throw it over to you. Have you guys determine a song of the week this week? What do you think, guys?
Tough one, I think.
It is a tough one. I'll step forward and say number one is a little dated and a lot wrong with the mixing. Number two, I somehow like, but as for the best song, despite its flaws, I think I'm going to have to go with number three.
All right, so number 3 from Tom. And what was that, Paul?
It was a number 3 on my page. It wasn't quite getting on the camera there, but yeah, I'm going with number 3. Yeah.
Look, we discussed this last week, Paul. You can't do the sign thing unless you're wearing the bikini.
Ah, damn. Yeah. Behind again.
Do me a favor, Paul. Do the sign thing. Don't do the bikini.
One was the track I enjoyed the most tonight because it was the most honest, well played, no disguise, no trying to be anything whatsoever. But number 3 was the best song and got the most potential. And to me, I'm just looking at it as the kind of thing some guy sends into a publisher and goes, I got this bunch of songs. Can you do anything with these? That's the way I see that. And it's definitely the strongest song from that point of the night.
All right, so number 3 from you as well. Ian?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I probably enjoyed number 1 the best. It was good time, old-fashioned rock and roll, but relevance is not much, really. Number 2, I think the guy's vocal performance was stellar, and I'm tempted just to say number 2 for that purpose, because the vocalist was that good. But number 3, probably the most complete, and probably the best song, as everyone says. So who might have rocked the boat? Number 2.
You just rocked the boat.
Sorry, number 3.
When?
All right, so a unanimous decision. Song number 3, Poison Pickin' Time by The Matthew Show. It's going to be our song of the week. Now, again, I want to thank you, Paul, for being here, taking time out of your busy schedule. I know that there's no slowing down for you.
Indeed, there's not. No, we got deadline. The MP3 pre-release downloads are starting on the 1st of October. I've got a real busy schedule before then. There's going to be anyone who does pledge for my album at paulmiro.com/pledge. By the way, you get lots of exclusive goodies over the period as well. Like there's already been a video gone out and a lyric booklet. There are going to be a couple more videos cropping up very soon of things behind the scenes of how the album was mixed, and there's also going to be a brand new track that's not going to be on the album and it's not going to be on the bonus tracks. It's an absolute exclusive purely for pledges, and yeah, it's non-stop, loads and loads of gigs. Tour coming up with another band and with Seismic Survey from the Levelers pretty soon as well. So yeah, non-stop, no sleep till Brooklyn, as they say. All
right, Paul, thanks for being here. Great to see you again. And I want to take the opportunity to let everybody know that now that the Matthew Show with Poison Pickin' Time has been voted our Song of the Week, they're going into the mix for our Band of the Month, which takes place every second Wednesday of the month. So you can tune in next month, the second Wednesday of that month, and see all of our Songs of the Week for September against each other in a contest where we're going to pick a Band of the Month. That's, of course, brought to you by the kids over at the Live to Play Network, Sound Pro Live, and our partners at Butterfly Radio and Indie Music Bus. We appreciate their support. Now, gentlemen, as for you guys on the panel, I want to thank you, and I'm going to throw it over to Ian because he's pointing a finger at us all. Ian?
I am. Well, it's interesting you should bring up the hit list, the Band of the Month competition, because one of the things that also happens with the people who win on the hit list is they're actually nominated for Band of the Year, which is something we done last year. We had a really great response to. And we also happen to be talking now with our best guest of 2011, Mr. Paul Miro.
And the applause is crazy out there. I can see him.
And, that is all happening again this year. We are doing Best Band of the Year, basically, Guest of the Year, and we're also adding a new section where it's actually most played on MSI radio, so most requested on MSI radio. So you get over to the radio station and start requesting your favourite artists.
Yeah, we're actually going to start taking those counts. To be perfectly honest, we're going to be taking those counts starting November 1st across the board. So that's when you can get all the voting beginning at that time. All right. Now, gentlemen, thanks again for being here. Want to thank everybody out in our audience for being here as well. And we're going to be back again next week. Make sure you join us then. Carol from Butterflies Radio is going to be our guest panelist. It's going to be a lot of fun. Right now, though, we're going to play out with Poison Pickin' Time by The Matthews Show. Thanks for being here, everybody. We'll see you again next time right here on Music Scene Investigation.
Bye.
If I were a ghost of all the things I tell you, would you run, try to seek the higher ground? If I were lost, more lost than when I found you, should I go, try and find the path again? Fly around inside, windows look like sky. No, it's alright, no, it's okay. Live like you'll die someday. If I made time the way I make my music, would you smile more often than you do? If I smiled for once without reservation, I doubt there'd be a thing we could do. I curse the dashboard light, home late another night. But you know it's alright, no, it's okay. Live like you'll die someday. Well, they never wonder, and they never question. They march crying past the grave. And I wanna feel love without feeling old. I wanna feel the wind blow through my soul. I wanna love you for the rest of my life, and I wish that life were dying, dying, dying on the vine. I say it's alright, you don't get a life without pain. I can't deny that. All I wonder, when it's poison picking time, which one is mine? Mine. Well, you know it's alright, and you know it's okay. Live like you'll die someday. And maybe one day, yeah, maybe sometime soon, we can be happy.